hearing the stories and recognizing the heroes in our lives that continue to make a difference. This is Steve Scaffidi's Salute to Service, presented by Waterstone Bank. Here's Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
All right, day 2. Salute to Service, something I really enjoy, and Kristin and I are happy to tell this story today. Now, there's always things that get in the way.
Duty calls.
Yes, and Milwaukee Police Detective Dennix McKnight is actually in a court case this morning, which he sort of got thrown on the schedule. There's a slight chance he might join us by phone, but the great thing is, the great news here on this story that we'll sort of lay out for you in a feature here in a second is we're able to get him on the phone last week and interview him as part of our feature. So we had that conversation in studio today, though. And I got to say, Joan Lien, you wrote a great nomination for Detective McKnight. And the story, let's get you closer to the mic there. Let's help her out there so we can hear you. Just say hi on the mic. Hi. There you go. Kristin will get you set up. You shared the story of your brother-in-law.
Yes.
And Shep Crumrine is in studio as well. And I'm not going to tell the story because I want the feature to tell the story, but you are here today because of something, actually 2 people, but one specifically, Milwaukee Police Detective Dennix McKnight did on that day. And I got to ask you, because before we go to the feature, how are you feeling today?
Great.
You look great.
Yeah, I feel pretty much back to normal. Yeah.
So I'll set it up this way. How long ago was this?
Let's see. It was mid-December, before Christmas.
Yes.
Yep.
And
of 2024.
I don't want to give out too much information because the story will be told in the feature, but you were working out, or were you running or walking?
I was on a treadmill at the gym. Yeah,
something you
running.
do like a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're a fit guy.
2-3 times a week. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a runner.
Yeah.
And you look fantastic, by the way, and I like your glasses. All right, so we're going to play the feature, and then we're going to take it from there. This is number 2 of 6 honorees this week. And again, I always say it, thanks to Waterstone Bank for letting us share these stories. They are our presenters. Here is the story of Milwaukee Police Detective Dennix McKnight and an individual he saved who was in studio with us here at 620 WTMJ.
Hi, I'm Joan Lien. I wanted to nominate
Detective Dennix McKnight.
for saving my brother-in-law's life.
Currently been on the force for almost 12 years and almost 3.5 years for fire as a detective.
My name is Shep Crumrine, and my life was saved by Dennis and Rodney Banks.
I always see him at the gym. He's always on the treadmill, running very, very extensively as far as his routine. He appeared to be in excellent shape to be his age.
My brother-in-law is a very healthy guy. We never would have thought that he would be a candidate to have a heart attack.
I had gone to Planet Fitness Midtown just to work out, as I usually do, a couple times a week.
And his heart stopped.
I wasn't even going to go to the gym. I was there probably 15 minutes. And I seen a crowd of people just standing around near the treadmill. I walked over there and I noticed that the individual was laying face down. And after a few moments, he wasn't moving. Turned his head towards me. I noticed he had like a laceration from the middle of his forehead. I just checked his pulse. He didn't have a pulse.
I'd had a cardiac arrest and a brain injury.
The retired firefighter that was also there, and he just helped me secure his head and just gently roll him over onto the bed of the treadmill, which is a hard surface. And you want to get him on a hard surface just to see if you possibly got to do any CPR or chest compressions. I checked his mouth to see if he possibly choked on anything, see his airway was pretty clear, and I checked his pulse again, and he wasn't breathing, so I just jumped in and started doing chest compressions.
If he hadn't done that, my brother-in-law would definitely have not survived.
I have never performed a lifesaver measure as far as that. Outside of training, no, that's my first time. You always got to rely on your skills and your craft, because you never know when you might need it. And it was just something that was just natural for me just to jump in and just remember the chest compressions.
My first memory is I was still in the hospital. I had a couple days to go, and then I was going to be transferred to a rehab hospital. My wife, of course, was there every day.
He is doing excellent now.
I'm doing great. I'm finished with my PT and OT, almost finished with speech, and I'm about a month into cardiac rehab over at Freighter. I just started running last week, slowly. I've been to the gym once a week for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm starting to lift weights again.
What does salute to service mean to you?
The profession of first responders is amazing in and of itself, but the fact that Dennis was off duty and he still was that type of person that he couldn't just walk away, he had to help. And I think that's just what first responders are like.
It just recognize that people just stepping in to provide aid to someone who they do not know, or they do know.
Our second of 6 honorees for Waterstone Banks and Steve Scaffidi Salute to Service, Dennix McKnight, police detective in Milwaukee. He is in a courtroom as we speak this morning. We'll take a break. Our guest, Joan Lien, and the man of the hour, really, because you would not be here without those heroic efforts. Unbelievable story. Shep Crumrine. And I'm in awe of you, the fact that you're like right back in your game, doing it all again. So we're going to ask him a bunch more questions, Kristin and Steve. Salute to service right here on 620 WTMJ.
Welcome back. I'm so happy to be, for the first time ever, part of Salute to Service this year, and we are on our second honoree of the week. And unfortunately, our honoree is not here because he is in a courtroom right now. But Officer Dennix McKnight was the officer who saved Chris Crumrine's life. And
Shep Crumrine. Your name thing today.
We're having a lot of different names. Shep Crumrine, yes. Mm-hmm. And Joan Lien, your sister-in-law. So because when we first interviewed you, you really don't remember anything. No. And so I remember trying to ask more stories, and you're like, I don't know. I remember being on the treadmill, and then it was over. Yeah. So as far as the call, Joan, that you guys got, what did that sound like?
Well, I was saying my sisters and I always hike, and so my sister had a weird feeling that day, and she just said, I got to go home. I just got to go home. So she left. And on my way home, I was almost home, and she called me just hysterical, saying that he had a cardiac arrest and he was in the hospital. So I got my son-in-law to go take care of her, and so I went to the hospital, and we got information, and they had left their car at the gym. So we said, well, let's go get the car and take it home. So we stopped at the gym. And you're going to say something?
Yeah, how long did you know, how long was it, either of you, when you knew he was going to be okay? Because you didn't for a while.
No, a long time. He was intubated. So I think he was intubated for like 2 weeks. So he
No
wasn't,
kidding.
And it was very touch and go.
So when you're in that period, do you have any recollection of the 2 weeks at all? None. What was the first thing you remembered when you sort of came out of that? Do you remember?
I remember the last 3 or 4 days at Freighter before I went to the rehab hospital. Yeah.
And what were your physical ailments, to put it in a simple term? Well, what was your impact of having your life ended that day, and then when you were brought back by the efforts of the detective?
Well, I mean, I'd lost 20 pounds. I was very weak, of course, because I hadn't been moving or anything outside of a bed. So just weakness and loss of weight and...
Well, he couldn't breathe, so they
Well, right, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
Yeah, and he was out of it. He couldn't remember a lot. Anything.
I don't have memory of 6 weeks of my life, so yeah.
So I want to give you a couple opportunities here, because I love the connectivity of all of these pieces, not just the officers. So I'm going to give you an opportunity. One, to the medical staff that has sort of brought you back. Tell us about what that's been like, the process, maybe some of the people that have sort of gotten you back to where you look good, you look fit, you're back doing a lot of the same things.
You would not guess that you were in a hospital for 6 weeks.
Right, yeah.
Less than 6 months ago.
Or that your heart had stopped at some point.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, obviously the expertise at Freighter is phenomenal.
World class.
I don't remember any of them.
Have you reconnected with those folks?
No, I haven't.
We got to get you over there.
I did. I had to go back for observation for a couple of nights, and they would rotate through. A couple of the docs would rotate through. Oh yeah, I remember seeing you, and you didn't look so good, but you look great now, and blah blah blah. So I was able to thank them. So yeah, I really don't remember anything until about the last 6 days at Freighter before I went to the rehab hospital.
Here's the big question.
Yeah.
So most of us, when we pass away, there's not someone saving our life.
Right.
Our life ends, and whatever happens after that is obviously open to debate. But you came back because of the actions of an individual and also another bystander who was there off duty. If Dennix was here, the Milwaukee police detective, what would you say to him? And you're going to meet him at some point, because I'll make that happen.
Yeah, no. I'd give him a big hug first.
What would you tell him? What would you say to him?
I'd just say, it's just incredible that you were there when you were there. And I owe you my life. So yeah, what else is there to say?
Yeah, it has to be just an incredible. Again, we can't relate.
No.
Yeah.
When you think about the gravitas of that, and the fact that one moment you're doing what you love to do, and the next moment you wake up in a hospital 2 weeks later, you don't even know it's 2 weeks later, and someone has intervened with you. It's one of the reasons we do this. Not every story is a life-saving story, but the individuals, the men and women who never stop working, really. It's one of the reasons I've done Salute to Service for the 7 years that I've done, is because I don't know that we appreciate that.
No.
Yep.
And someone was willing on that day to do something that maybe a lot of us couldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to do it in brilliant fashion, and to have you walking and talking and running and hiking and all the other stuff. That's just incredible. Yeah. And I know he's not here today, but if he was here, because we talked to him last week, he would say the same thing to you. He's so happy for you, and the fact that he could do something in that moment.
Yeah.
That, again, a lot of other people wouldn't have done.
I had a career at the VA, and I was trained every year in CPR, and I was a first responder, and I always wondered, would I be called upon? And I never was. But, I would only hope that I could have done something similar.
2 of our stories this week have prompted me and my wife, Kathy, to go back and refresh our training.
Oh, you betcha.
Because it truly is. It's like, what would you do in that moment?
Yeah.
And having training and having that instinct kick in is a big part of it.
Whether you're at a Planet Fitness, or my grandkids are, something happens to them, or I come up on an accident, those skills are important.
Yep.
I want to say thanks to both of you. And Joan, I always want to give credit to the nominators. The way you phrase and the way you tell that story in the nomination, which we do every year, we open it up for a couple weeks. You sharing that story in the way that you did is one of the reasons Shep's story is part of Salute to Service. So thanks to you as well.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I was so impressed with him doing this that I just had to say something about him.
And I will personally, Kristin and I will make that reunion happen at some point, whether it's here or somewhere else. We will make that happen.
Yeah.
Let's congratulate again our second of 6 honorees for Waterstone Bank Salute to Service, Dennix McKnight, Police Detective, Milwaukee Police Department. To Shep, keep it up, keep running, or whatever you want to do.
Playing the cello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even mention the cello thing. He's apparently a brilliant cello player. If I'd have known that, Joan, I would have had you bring that in.
Oh, God. I'm glad you didn't know
A little live music goes a long way. And Joan, again, thanks.
Yes.
I love sharing the stories. We'll do it again tomorrow on Salute to Service, presented by Waterstone Bank.